Hey, welcome to Shape with Srini. In this video, I'm going to tell my views about using a HDPE reusable no-seal forms versus making your own epoxy mold for any of your epoxy projects. So what is HDPE? HDPE is called high density polyethylene. It is a kind of thermoplastic which is famous for its strength and can withhold high temperatures. This material is mostly used in 3D printing filaments, storage shirts, food containers, and many more. When you're just starting on epoxy projects, one of the first thing you need to learn is how to make an epoxy mold. This epoxy mold has to be a watertight seal. The reason being epoxy is a liquid form and any leaks can be very expensive. And it can also mess up your floor or work surface, and cleaning is a nightmare. There are many content creators on YouTube who makes some amazing epoxy tables, and every one of them stresses on how important the epoxy mold should be and how important a watertight seal should be. For making your own epoxy mold, there are multiple steps involved. The first thing you need is either a melamine board, MDF, or a plywood. The next step is cut your board to make the form. You need to have the base and all four sides. Then you need a Tyvek tape or any kind of sheeting to cover all your boards. Then based on your project size, drill the holes and join all the boards together. Once you have all the boards joined together, use a paste wax or any kind of mold release spray. Use a waterproof silicone caulk or any kind of waterproof caulk to seal all the edges inside and outside. Let the caulk sit for at least overnight or 24 hours and then remove all the excess caulk. And then use a blue shop tar or any of the white rag to clean up any of the dust that's on the board. If you are a beginner to the epoxy projects, making this mold will take at least 1 hour or maybe 2 hours. If you are successful with no leaks, the next big step is mold release. This can be easy or a nightmare based on your mold release prep. If your prep is good, in most cases you can reuse the mold a couple of times or maybe even more. If you have to struggle getting your project out of the mold, then the mold cannot be reused. Plus, you have to spend a lot of time cleaning up the mess if the melamine got stuck to your project. Either you have to sand, plane, or maybe some other techniques to clean that stuff out. Making a new mold will cost you between $75 to $100 for buying all the materials. The materials include melamine, Tyvek tape, or any kind of sheeting tape, caulking, screws, etc. And if you are making your projects to sell, you also need to add your labor. So for example, if you're taking like 2 hours to make the mold, it'll be like $150 if you're charging $75 per hour. So 150 plus 75 or $100 for the materials, it'll be around like $225 or $250 for you to prepare the mold. So what are the advantages of using the HDPE reusable no-seal form? The first thing is you can reuse multiple times. So this is a 24 by 48 form which I bought a few months back, and I used this for making like a couple of projects till now, and the form is still really in good shape. And one of the project which I made, it's on YouTube, and I'll leave a link in the description. It also saves time, and there's no need to spend 1 hour or 2 hours making your own epoxy forms. And for me, I think the biggest advantage is using this will have no leaks, because the material is thick and it's really good on all the corners. Unless you punch a hole or it gets cracked, it's really good and there'll be no leaks. The other advantage of using these forms is it's very easy to demold. So I like to use all these forms for any of the smaller projects. For me personally, I never use these forms if I'm making like any project which is bigger than 2 feet by 4 feet. If it's bigger than 2 feet by 4 feet, I'll make my own mold. These reusable molds also comes in different shapes and sizes. The common used are like square, rectangle, and circle. And you can also get this in very smaller, where you can make some coasters and coaster stands. I like having this coaster set ready next to me whenever I'm making a big epoxy project. In case if I have like any excess epoxy, I can use these to make some coasters. I have multiple sets of these. Personally, I prefer 2 feet by 4 feet mold because I can make one big coffee table, and if I want to make 2 side tables, I can make a 2 feet by 4 feet slab and then cut that slab into half, which will be 2 feet by 2 feet, and I'll have 2 pieces. So what will be my preference? If I'm making smaller projects, I'm going to use the HDPE forms, which comes in different shapes and sizes. But if I'm going any bigger, like a dining table or bigger than dining table, I'm going to make my own form. So where can you buy these forms? I personally prefer to buy these in Etsy. Etsy has a wide variety of sellers who offers these forms in different shapes and sizes. I will leave the links in the description for the forms I bought from Etsy. I hope this information is helpful for you. If you like the video, please consider subscribing and support my channel. Thank you.